So Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul wrapped up, and this fight wasn't close. Like I predicted that it wouldn't be close. I predicted that it would go to a decision for Jake Paul. It went to a decision for Jake Paul. This fight went exactly how I expected. Mike Tyson's 58 years old. He was never going to win this fight. He looked awful in his last few fights that he had 19 years ago. He was not going to win this fight. It was very obvious. The only people who would have thought Mike Tyson were going to win were people who had nostalgia bias. Because there was just no world he was going to win. He's 58. Father time don't wait for nobody. Now, like, it wasn't close. Yeah, Mike Tyson probably won the first round, but that was just because it was like a feeling out round. It wasn't like a competitive round where Mike Tyson was like battering him. It was just like a pitter-patter round. Second round could have gone to Jake Paul, but it was also very close. I think it could have also went to Tyson, but the rest of the fight was just all clear. Jake Paul battering him. Especially that third round. I thought he was going to knock Mike Tyson out. He really hurt him with a hook. Landed a lot of big shots on him, but it seemed like he was putting 60% on his shots. It didn't seem like he was trying to knock out Mike Tyson, which is fair play to Jake Paul. Yeah, he comes off like a cockhead, but it did honestly seem like he didn't want to knock out Mike Tyson. And people are going to say, no, you couldn't even knock out a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. Like, I honestly think if he just went in there and blitzed him, he probably could have got him out of there. But I think he was just pretty, he was just very dialed back. He's like, he's 58. If I knock him out, people are probably going to give me more shit. Like, it was sort of a lose-lose for Jake Paul. He's going to get shit either way. You're fighting a 58-year-old man. But, he clearly won at least 6 rounds. I thought maybe 7. I arguably thought he won 7 rounds. But, yeah, it was a pretty bad fight. It sucked. Let's not sugarcoat it. This fight sucked. It was awful. Mike Tyson looked like he was moving in slow motion. His shots had no real pop to him. People are going to say this is rigged. This is like, yada yada. That's not the case. It wasn't rigged, but it was an unwinnable fight. Not because Mike Tyson took a dive or anything like that. It's because he's a 58-year-old man fighting a guy 31 years younger than him. While, having a career full of damage. He took so much damage. He didn't look after himself for years. He smoked a lot. He did a lot of drugs. It wasn't like, yeah, Mike Tyson's like, he's in good shape for a 58-year-old now, but he didn't look after his body. He fucked himself up a lot. His body's taken a lot of wear and tear over the years. He was going to be slow. People are, you didn't see the footage. You didn't see that footage of Tyson, man. He looked real quick. Like, they were 30-second clips of him hitting pads. Pads don't move. Like, the fact that people thought he was going to go in there and berserk through Jake Paul is just astounding. Yeah, Mike Tyson in his prime would kill Jake Paul. Let's not sugarcoat it. He would absolutely annihilate it. But we're not in his prime anymore. He's not in his prime. He's an old man. This was gonna go this way every single time. But I'm glad he didn't knock him out. That was the one saving grace. Like, yeah, it was a boring fight, but at the same time, we didn't have to see Mike Tyson get knocked out cold. But forever and always on Mike Tyson's record, he'll have a loss to Jake Paul, which is like a very cursed. Jake Paul started his career fighting Deji. Like, his first fight was against fucking Deji. Oh, I just realised that I was meant to have this on this screen. The whole time it was on my face. But anyway, yeah, it's Jake Paul, with Mike Tyson. They're all chill. I didn't think there was any proper beef. I've seen people, like, trying to make it out to be, like, a race thing because, like, Jake Paul, like, got up from the steps, like, but he does that to everybody. Like, people are saying, oh, it's a race thing. He's calling Mike Tyson like an ape or a monkey or whatever. But he does that all the time. Mike Tyson didn't care about that. He was pissed off because he stepped on his toes. If you know anything about Mike Tyson, he said he has weak feet. He doesn't like people stepping on his toes. He said that's why he would never be an MMA fighter. Because if you stepped on his toes, he would immediately tap out. It's a soft spot for him. But, people wanted to make this about race. It is what it is. But Jake Paul won. He didn't look great, all things considered, considering he's fighting an old man. But one saving grace for Mike Tyson is his defense is still sort of there. Like, he was bobbing and weaving a lot. He was trying to do the rope-a-dope as best he can with how, his mobility's shot, obviously. But he showed a good chin. He took some big shots. Jake Paul's not a heavyweight either. That's also got to be taken into consideration. But, yeah, Mike Tyson said he wants to fight again. I don't think he should, quite honestly with you. I don't think he should fight ever again. And normally I'm the guy like, oh, come on, let these guys fight, yada yada. Like, I'm normally the guy who wants to see freak shows, but Mike Tyson's going to get hurt if he keeps fighting. He did not look good. He had no pop in his shots. It was really sad to see in this fight, quite honestly with you. It was like, the best analogy I can put on this fight was like, the guy who was running the neighborhood for like 30 years. Let's say some guy lives in a residential area. He was running the block. He's the neighborhood watch. And then like 30 years later, this punk kid, him and his family move, and he's like, he's the delinquent. He's gone around egging people's houses, and you're the neighborhood watch, and you're like, you're trying to sort this kid out, but like you're so old, you gas out really quickly. You can't do anything to him, and then this kid beats you by default. That was essentially this fight. Like if these two were fighting in their primes, it wouldn't be a competition. But because Father Time doesn't wait for no man, Mike Tyson did lose. Jake Paul did get the W, but I don't know. If I'm Jake Paul, I'm bragging about it. Even though it wasn't a great performance, you still technically have a win over Mike Tyson. And as people know, people that used to always say, I wouldn't fight Mike Tyson if he was 100. Ja. Like people would laugh about that sort of stuff. But, I mean, yeah, he fought him when he was 58, but people used to make jokes. They wouldn't fight Mike Tyson when he was 100. Well, Jake Paul did. He beat him when he was 58. So, got to give that to him. I'm glad he beat a boxer at least, even though he was completely washed. The other MMA fans, the boxing fans can like fuck off and leave us alone. Like, yeah, he knocked out Tyron Woodley, Ben Askren, beat Nate Diaz, beat Anderson Silva, but you literally beat fucking Mike Tyson in boxing, in your fucking sport. So you guys can shut the fuck up now. He beat our wash fighters, and now he's beating your wash fighters, That's just what happens. Father Time don't wait for no man. It doesn't matter who you are, but yeah. Mike Tyson said he would fight Logan Paul next. I actually honestly think he'd probably still beat Logan Paul. Logan Paul is shit. I'm not even going to exaggerate. Jake Paul is good. Or like for an influencer boxer, he's a low, in the grand scheme of things, he's like a low-level journeyman type guy. Not like a bum. Like he's like a guy who could win some regional fights. He's not like a championship level guy, but he's a good regional journeyman type guy. But Logan Paul is just shit. Logan sucks. Like, I'm not even going to exaggerate. No offense to the guy. He's killing. He's living a good life. But he would die. Like Mike Tyson would bash him. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. He'd beat the shit out of him. But, well, who knows though. He looked very slow. But Logan Paul is just awful. He'd probably back up a lot. He'd get hurt probably. And I wouldn't want to see it though, because if Logan Paul... It's one thing Jake Paul winning, because at least Jake Paul is like credentialed. He's beat some pretty good guys. He beat some journeymen, etc., etc. But Logan Paul's only beat Dylan Dennis, who's a jiu-jitsu guy. He lost to KSI. Like, I don't want a guy who's got a lost to KSI fighting Mike Tyson respectfully. But, here's what it is. It was a decent card. We got to see Mike Tyson's bare ass. That was interesting. Wasn't a big fan of that personally, but we got to see his fucking cheeks. Maybe the OnlyFans the next stop for Mike Tyson, to be honest with you, because he's caked out. It was like a sitcom. It's like his son came and interviewed him. He's like, I love you, Dad. He's like, I love you, son. Give him a kiss. And then it's like the sitcom fucking pans to his ass just hanging out. Very weird. It was like something straight out of like Curb Your Enthusiasm or some shit like that, or Seinfeld. I'm not quite sure. Like, one of those like type shows. But yeah, I don't know. Weird production. I thought Amanda Serranos got badly robbed against Katie Taylor, but I'm not a boxing fucking judge, so what do I know? Maybe I'm completely wrong. That Indian guy, Nayat, I think his name was, he fought that Nunez guy, I don't even know. I just know his name's Nunes. The Brazilian influencer, big famous guy. He looked awful. Like, yeah, he won every round, but he was gassed out the whole time. He has no power. Literally zero power in his shots. That's probably going to be Jake Paul's next fight. Jake Paul's twice his size and has better cardio. Jake Paul will knock him out in one round. I'm pretty confident to say that. He's not very good. He's awful, to be honest with you guys. Like, yeah, he won, but you're fighting a 2-2 Brazilian influencer. You're 14-4. Your career is boxing. How do you look that bad? Like, seriously, how do you look that bad in boxing? That is your life. That's your career. This guy's doing it as a hobby. He has an excuse. He's a musician, a fucking YouTuber, an actor, a podcaster probably, a porn star for all I know. You literally only have boxing. How are you not finishing this guy? Like, generally, how? But yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of people had buffering problems. I personally didn't, but I was watching it on my phone. But at one point, it did start to buffer on my PlayStation when I started watching it on my PlayStation, which was pretty annoying. It was towards the beginning of the main event before it started, which pissed me off. But thankfully, it wasn't too bad. It seemed like Australia didn't deal with too much of the buffering. But, you know, it was cool. Netflix did this event. It was free. Hopefully there's some more interesting ones like that. Maybe Jake Paul versus somebody else. Because I think this is better than pay-per-views, to be honest with you. Because, like, we're all gonna live stream it anyway. You might as well put it on Netflix for free. But everybody watched it. Every single person on my story on Snapchat was watching it. Like, girls, boys, everything like that. And, you know, everything in between. They were all watching this. So I think this got a lot of viewership. Clearly, you know, people who don't even watch fighting was watching this. You know, Mike Tyson, big name. Jake Paul, big name. So this probably did a big sales, but it was an awful fight. Like, God, it generally sucked. The co-main event was cool, but I didn't like the decision. But this main event was dreadful. Generally awful, but what are you going to do, honestly? But it was sort of to be expected, to be honest with you. But, you know, it is what it is. Jake Paul now has a win over Mike Tyson. Tyron Woodley again. Nate Diaz. Mike Perry. It's crazy to me. Anisan Gibb, Deji. This all started with Deji. He went from beating up Deji to beating up an old Mike Tyson. What a weird timeline we're in. But that's all I've got to say. Oh my God, I really talked a long time about this. So this was a pretty long recap. But yeah, this fight wasn't close. I said this. It was to be expected. He's old and he didn't even look good in his last few fights. Mike Tyson hasn't been in his prime since the 1990s. Probably before Jake Paul was born. Like, when he came back from prison, he wasn't as good. He was a lot bigger. He was a lot slower. It's to be expected. If you know anything about boxing or just combat sports in general, Father Time doesn't wait for no man, even if you're Mike fucking Tyson. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.